Porsche Exchange, it's all about creating a legendary ownership experience that embodies our guest lifestyle. Our Porsche service team utilizes cutting-edge technology that delivers a transparent service visit and keeps us in constant contact with our guests. And I can't think of anyone more qualified to work on your Porsche, new or classic, than our Porsche certified technicians. Whether you're a longtime guest or new to our dealership, I welcome you to experience legendary at the Porsche Exchange. If you're a Porsche owner looking for reliable, convenient service without leaving the comfort of your home or office, look no further and take advantage of the Exchange at Home complimentary pickup and drop-off service exclusively at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park.
For the first time in Series 10, we'll be back in the same car as one of the previous events. Much like the last time we saw the GT3R, it's at a long, fast track. But while Road America didn't have as many extended corners, Spa is chock full of them. Will the downforce of these machines make it tough to stay close to your rivals? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the PCA Sim Racing Series 10 Club Class live here on Podium Esports. Hi, my name is Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth tonight is Michael Johnson. Cameron Aubernon is on social media, and Ryan Bauer is producing while using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But before we get to the racing, Series 10 is brought to you by the Porsche Exchange, which has been family owned and operated for over 40 years. Located on the North Shore of Chicago, the Porsche Exchange has grown to be the largest volume Porsche dealer in the entire Midwest. Along the way, they've won the Porsche Premier Dealership Award for many years in a row and has been chosen to be one of the few Porsche exclusive manufacturer dealerships in the entire country. Find out more at 4Porsche.com or follow Porsche Exchange on Instagram. Also, Six Sigma Sim Racing is proud to announce the Season 10 Clean Driver Award. One driver in each PCA Sim Racing class will win a Six Sigma Sim Racing $250 merchandise gift certificate. This goes to whoever earns the fewest incident points and license penalty points from their best 6 races this season. For more information, head to sixsigmasimracing.com. Well, we are going to be getting to the action on track here, and I want to bring in Michael Johnson. And I know that you are plenty familiar with road courses around the world. Tell us about Spa here.
Well, as frequent listeners will know, this is, without a doubt, the top track for me on the entire planet. Probably the universe. I just haven't raced on other planets yet. So even in the sim, this is my favorite track. It is absolutely nuts. 4.35 miles, about 7 kilometers, 19 turns, depending on how you count them. And everyone is an icon. Every single turn here, people know. You know Pujon, sometimes called double gauche, double left. You have turns called no name, sometimes called Jackie X. Rivage, sometimes known as Bruxelles, which is what I'm commonly going to refer to it as. So, honestly, the best track on the planet, bar none. It's beautiful, it's stunning, and it brings amazing racing because you have long straightaways where you can draft. You've got super tight, twisty sections where you really have to be on your mark. Man, this track has everything, and every lap is just chock full of excitement.
I think you'd have a lot of agreement with you out there. It's just one of the classic mountainous hills to climb of road racing tracks, and it's one of the best out there. And take a look, this is the championship battle after 3 events. We've raced Road America, VIR, and Suzuka so far. Robbie Prescott right now leads 10 points over Kerry Brooks. Christopher Cook right there in the 3rd place position, and then a little bit of a gap there to Robert Lacroix in 4th place. Joe Sinclair also in the top 5, and then look at how close things also get down here. David T. Glenn, Klaus Nielsen, Chad Dick, and Peter Sigourney and Kim Frick here tied for 9th place with 275 points each for Kim Fricky there. And looks like here at Spa, things might get shaken up a little bit more because I see Chris Cook on the top of the boards. I see Kerry Brooks up there. I see Robbie Prescott. I see Peter Sigourney. Michael, all of these names at the top 5, they're all names that I just read off in that championship hunt.
Well, yeah, and this track, but just by the pure nature of it, you never know what's going to happen. If you think about the propensity to pick up incident points. If you think about this particular race as a standing start race, normally we're doing rolling starts, so now we're throwing in a couple of things. So everybody wants that gift certificate for the $250 from Six Sigma Sim Racing, so they want to have a clean race. But this track, man, it is so tough, and if you don't get that good launch and make it through Eau Rouge, which is the very first thing you come to since we are starting on that downhill. By the time you get through Radillon and you're working your way down Kemmel Straight, you're probably going to have a couple of donuts on the side of your car.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And if you noticed, we just got the checkered flag here in qualifying, but this is an open session, which means anybody that has started a lap will be able to get to complete their lap as we watch Peter Sigourney in car number 222 come across the final turn here. Well, actually, now technically we are using the classic pits here, Michael. That's something we haven't touched on yet. There's a few different pit configurations here at Spa, and we're using the one after the hairpin that designates start-finish.
Yeah, so when you go through, normally we're used to seeing, especially if you're a Formula One fan, that La Source is turn 1. That's that super tight turn we just watched Sigourney go through. But that is now the final corner. Everyone's used to right here. Let's watch Scott Bowers as he comes up through here, comes into, whoops, and now breaks himself just a little bit. Normally, it would have gone up through there. We're on with Klaus Nielsen now, going up through that chicane, that last chicane, and we're used to coming up right about, you'll see it right here, is where we're used to that finish line being. Somebody's going to forget. I promise you, at the end of the race, somebody's going to be in a tight race, and they're going to forget that they've got to get through La Source and head down here to, well, as we watch Klaus Nielsen peel off down into the pits. Now, with the 60-minute race, the pit strategy is also going to be pretty handy to work those pit entries. So crashing the cones, as it's often called, get in there and make sure you are under speed before the person with the radar gun decides to light you up and make sure you're not speeding.
Well, and not only that, but it's such a long pit lane delta here at Spa-Francorchamps, and that you have to kind of consider if you're going to try to early overcut, undercut, what your pit strategy is going to do. You got to remember, you spend a lot of time here on pit road. And Michael, you mentioned the format earlier. We are doing a standing start here at Spa. The race will be 60 minutes long. Everybody's going to be in these Porsche GT3R cars, the GT3 cars. Fixed setup out there, 17X. You got a drive-through and then a disqualification at 25. Get those drive-throughs every 5X after that 17. 70% max fuel level, and that, like you said, will play into that pit stop strategy. And looks like for the most part, we're going to have our grid lined up here. It's the number 47, Chris Cook, taking your pole position. Kerry Brooks in second place in that number 77. Robbie Prescott in third. Peter Sigourney fourth. Scott Kessel fifth. Brandon Harrison in sixth. Klaus Nielsen seventh. Aaron Ambrosino here in eighth place. Joe Sinclair ninth. And Jeremy Mazzariello rounding out the top 10.
That's going to put Ben Long in P11, followed by Robert Walton, Derek Dirksen, Joachim Baker, Peter Kummer, David Snelling, Gary Rice, Lyle Eddy, Dean Chapman, and Patrick Adamczyk round out the top 20. And here's a look at the rest of the field.
Yeah, and we mentioned we are doing that standing start here, and we've got a huge field on our hands, Michael. Looks like 47 cars are going to be packed here at Spa, and I'm curious. I want to take a look at these cars maybe a little bit further back. Are they wrapped all the way around the hairpin? Doesn't look like they quite get back there, but man, track position, it's huge when you have this many cars out there.
Yeah, and if you think about the guys up front who are trying to launch out of that position and get all the way down to the end of the Kemmel Straight with some speed, they're actually at a disadvantage. So it's going to be an interesting start here.
It will be, as looks like we're waiting for maybe just one or two more cars. Get everything spooled up here on the racetrack, and I'm taking a look at the weather. Pretty calm and cool. 71 degree ambient, 94 degree track temperature. So these GT3 machines should be nice and hooked up out there on the racetrack as we are just waiting. Looks like maybe Chris Hunt back here in the number 13 and position number 27. And we've got the green flag on the standing start. Chris Cook with a nice getaway, but he's being challenged by Kerry Brooks side by side. But look at Robbie Prescott. He's already making that charge for second place. He's going to have a draft battle on his hands. And also watch out for Scott Kessel moving up in the number 48 down the Kemmel Straight for the first time, Michael.
Yeah, let's take a look at Robbie Prescott. Has been able to be pretty dominant as he came down the Kemmel Straight here, coming into the first opportunity to pass under braking. We got some side-by-side action here. This is going to get exciting in these first couple of laps. We'll see how these guys pan out. But meanwhile, it looks like Robbie Prescott is still hanging on out front.
Really good and respectful racing right now. Chris Cook leads the way. Kerry Brooks, Scott Kessel, third place. Robbie Prescott here fourth. Peter Sigourney rounding out the top five. So a couple shuffling of positions, but look at the 47 Porsche GT3Rs make their way down the hill here at Spa for the first time. Oh no, we got big problems with Kerry Brooks.
Ooh, Kerry Brooks, this is a difficult, this is the what's called double gauche, double left, or sometimes Pouhon. That is a tough corner. If you miss your braking point, especially with those cold tires trying to get in there, ooh, it's going to be tough. We'll take a look at the replay there in just a minute, but we're going to try to finish out this lap real quick because there is still more action to come.
Well, and that allowed Chris Cook in this light blue Porsche kind of escape a little bit over Scott Kessel. Got Robbie Prescott in tow, and then maybe just a tiniest bit of gap back to Peter Sigourney. But Michael, I think this is going to be the story of the race here. Spa is known for these long sweeping corners, these really high top-end speeds, and with a fixed setup, you can really use the draft to your effect.
Ooh, you can use the draft to your effect in a couple of spots, but we just watched Brandon Harrison had contact with, I don't see who that was, but yeah, one other car that he was having a good battle with just moved out on him. We'll have to see what the stewards have to say about that. But back to your point, this is a draft battle from this point. Once you see them come around right here, it is pedal to the metal at La Source. You do not lift. These tires are warm. These tires, after that first lap, they got enough temperature in them. You do not lift until you get to the end of the Kemmel Straight and go into your braking zone there. That is your first chance. So if you see somebody coming up to Lacombe and they're off speed, they lifted. None of these guys here are going to lift. Everybody here knows exactly what they need to do as we watch. Oh no! Number 43, Kerry Brooks. That was the from earlier. Just mistimed it. Got a little bit too much of that curbing on the inside. Found the way out to that tire barrier.
Yeah, and then a little bit later here, I believe we got Klaus Nielsen. He's going into the bus stop for the first time. See if he gets any help here from the back end. Oh, yeah, it just looks like a little bit of misjudgment going into the bus stop. And, oh, no, heavy damage on the back end of Klaus Nielsen's car. Now, one thing we didn't talk about at the beginning of the race is that all of these competitors, they do have a faster pair. And see what happens also to the number 930, Chad Dick. Oh, looks like he's getting caught up while Klaus is trying to maneuver the car. And Michael, damage on the car. They do get a faster pair, which means they can come into pit lane. They lose a lot of track position, but they still get to get out there and do laps.
Yeah, you can still get out there, but just because you had to do a faster pair doesn't mean your race is over. At this point, it's kind of tough. Now, they're close to the pit entry. So the pit entry is right after La Source. So you can kind of work your way down into the pit lane if you have an incident right there in that last little bit and not lose too much time, you're not out of the race. Now, you end up with a tow from somewhere out, like, let's say you're in Bruxelles or Double Gauche, somewhere like that. Yeah, it's a long tow, and now you're just out there trying to harvest some points as best you can.
Whoa, Michael, did you see that move from Brandon Harrison around the outside of Peter Sigourney going into the bus stop? Talk about late on the brakes from the number 31. Gets that position number 4 away from Peter Sigourney, but now it's kind of Peter's opportunity to line up that draft. And here's another car further back making some moves. This is Joachim Baker back here in the 10th place position, and Joachim finds himself kind of right in the middle of a pack, but he's been on the move forward. He's up 4 positions, started back there in 14th spot, has already cracked the top 10, and oh, looks like he just got another one because Ben Leong lost it going up through Eau Rouge, and this is the battle. Michael, we got a lead battle on our hands, don't we, between Chris Cook and Scott Kessel?
Indeed we do. I was just about to comment, Chris was under severe attack from Scott Kessel. Scott took advantage of that long straightaway, got right up under the wing, right at the end of the straightaway there. Tried to make a little bit of a move, but nope. Chris Cook says, not today. This is my turn to lead the race. I'm going to stay out here as long as I possibly can. But, you know, Scott's not having any of that. Look at how close they are sitting. Right now, they're only about a quarter second apart. This is tight. This is where you want to be. You want to pester the heck out of the guy in front of you. And, well, if you're the one in front, you want to pester the guy behind by making that car super wide. Chris Cook has been doing a great job making it wide, but looks like losing a little bit of ground here as we head into this super technical part. Now, this is going to get out into another opportunity for a long straightaway. So once they come out of Stavelot, go through Paul Frere. So this is Stavelot. Yeah, this is Stavelot here, heading down into the long bend of Paul Frere, coming up towards Blanchimont. Looks like, has he opened it up a little bit? He has. That was a nice exit out of Stavelot. That was really probably the best opportunity for him to try to get around him, at least on this lap. So we'll see how this plays out next time they head down Kemmel Straight.
And already dealing with a little bit of lap traffic right there in front of our leaders. Let's see who this is right here. Looks like it's Matthew Yokel back here, who's in the 42nd place in the number 14 car. Just had a few problems early on, but he has got a hungry train of 3 leaders, and gonna be interesting coming here through Eau Rouge. And I think the best thing that Matthew is able to do right now is keep his foot to the floor, let these leaders draft up behind him through Eau Rouge, and then once you're on the Kemmel Straight here, go ahead, lift off that throttle, let them through, and I see he is doing exactly that. Let's Chris Cook by, let's Scott Kessel by, and here comes Robbie Prescott. Does he manage to sneak through as well? And I've been checking my notes over here. Chris Cook, he is leading this race. He started on pole. He has one other pole position, which was Road America kick off the season earlier. However, I don't see Christopher Cook's name on top of a podium sheet here. He is yet to win a race. So could this be the day the number 47 finally stands on top?
Well, that baby blue car is going to try his best he can to do that. But, you know, Scott Kessel right behind him has other things in mind. Scott has once again closed this up. Seems to be a good bit quicker through this Double Gauche section as they come up into, I always call it third gear corner. I know it's called Le now I can't speak French. But yeah, that corner, and then heading down into Campos. Coming out of Stavelot, though, that's where Chris seems to be able to open it up. Let's see if he does it again. So right now, coming into Campos, and then puts the power down, seeing if he can open this up again right here, going through. Nope. Looks like we're going to have a passing opportunity going down into the chicane.
Yeah, it's all going to count on the run through Blanchimont here, and I don't blame you, Michael. It sounded like you were a dog with peanut butter stuck on the roof of his mouth there, trying to say some of that stuff. But here comes Scott Kessel trying to make a move. Does he go late on the brakes into the bus stop? A little bit of a defensive line from our leader, Chris Cook. Puts his car right in the middle of the racetrack, right where he needs to be. keeps Scott Kessel at arm's length distance. But I tell you what, that number 48 definitely showing a lot of speed. And this is another driver that in my notes here, I do not see him on the podium. I don't see him having a pole position before. So Scott Kessel showing some speed out here, maybe kind of making a statement with who he is as a driver.
Yeah, but notice how he's just kind of holding it back a little bit, wants to wait until they get past Radillon, put the hammer down. We're going to go through the Kemmel bend on the Kemmel straight here. Now it's time to let this finish. We're going to see a great defense. I've been watching this for about, 3 laps now, and Chris seems to know exactly where to put the car. I think he's been taking lessons from you and me both, because look at that. Beautifully defended. Massive overlap from Scott Kessel. Wasn't able to bring it home, bring it all the way around. So, yeah, I got to say, Chris Cook is so far my driver of the race.
Well, I'm flattered that you think I'm a good sim racer, Michael, because if he was taking notes from me, he'd be in the gravel trap by now. So,
I was thinking real world racing.
Gotcha. But look at this. This is Robbie Prescott. He's just kind of been the caboose on this train right now. He hasn't really made his presence known in this lead battle. He's just been hanging out, watching what's going to happen between Scott Kessel and Chris Cook up here. And actually, Scott runs a little bit wide right there, loses touch with Chris just a little bit. But with these fixed setups, so easy to pull that in as long as you can get the exit out onto one of these big straightaways. And looking behind him, I actually think the fastest car on the racetrack, actually position 4 and position 5. I mentioned Brandon Harrison got around Peter Sigourney maybe a couple laps ago, but he, the 31, has officially brought the 222, and look at this, they're joining the lead battle as well.
Yeah, Brandon Harrison, who we saw earlier with a couple of really good moves, trying to work his way back up into this, wanting to get closer to Robbie Prescott. But if you notice, he's still about 1.1, 1.2 seconds off of him. That, in iRacing world, that is well within the range to get a good draft. You can get a good draft up to about 1.6, 1.7 seconds. That's going to help him hold on as we watch that purple and, we'll just call it fluorescent yellowish green highlighter machine. He's close enough to do something. So, but right now we're heading back to P41, taking a look on the tail. This is where this lead group is coming up to. This is important for Chris Cook. If Chris Cook is close enough, he's going to be able to get a little bit of a draft off that car. That's going to be Mark Lacombe. So on Mark Lacombe, if Mark Lacombe is not too far away, he's going to be able to just get that tiny bit of draft about that 1.6, 1.7 seconds out, and he is a lot closer now.
And I think more crucially is, when do you catch this lapped car? Does he look in his mirrors? Does he see that it's the leaders coming up? Does he have his relative turned on? Does he have a spotter letting him know the lead battle is turned up? And let me tell you, here at the PCA Sim Racing stuff, all of these competitors, they're very well versed in just kind of what's happening on the racetrack. Lots of times we see these competitors aware the leaders are coming up and try to facilitate the pass as best as they can. And what we've got here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lead cars. I count 7 going down the hill. And wow, what a race we've got on our hands. Done 13 minutes so far, Michael, not even a quarter of the way in this one. I know that you were saying Chris Cook might be a little bit of a favorite to win this because he's on pole, he's led every lap, but I really feel like you could probably roll the dice on any of these top 5 cars.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep my eye on Brandon Harrison, mostly because it's a purple car, and, well, that's what I always do in iRacing. So I think I'm going to change from Chris and go to Brandon, but I'm still very impressed with Chris's run through this. He's played beautiful defense. It is really difficult, as you well know, to keep somebody behind you when they are really motivated to get around you. So I think the motivation that we're looking at from Scott Kessel here is quite high. But not to put anything beyond Robbie Prescott, Robbie is keeping this as a 3-way battle for the front, with Brandon Harrison wanting to get up and be part of that. Now, Brandon is still at about 1.7 seconds off of this group. He can't quite close it down, although, well, as I say that, I put my foot in my mouth. He's about to 1.3 seconds now.
Yeah, and, we were talking about previous winners, the guys who have stood on the podium so far this season, and that P3 car, Robbie Prescott, carries the number one number board out there. Let me tell you, he's got 2 pole positions, 2 wins to his name, plus a second place. So he has stood on the podium in every single round so far here in this PCA Sim Racing Club class. And don't count out that number 1 car. He knows how to get it done. And I really feel like it's these 2 cars in front that might be a little bit hungrier. And Robbie might be sitting back there a little bit more experience on his hands, just kind of waiting for things to unfold in front of him.
Yeah, I would definitely say he is kind of in the catbird seat at this point. There was a thing I was talking about with one of my coaching clients yesterday, or earlier today, where it was something I saw on a TV show, and I was like, this really applies to racing so beautifully, where somebody said the most successful hunters have more patience than hunger. And I think Robbie is the one sitting there with patience right now, because he's just watching these guys battle each other. He sees these beautiful defensive moves by Chris Cook. He sees these amazing attacks coming from Scott Kessel. He knows that at some point this is going to create some kind of situation, either through contact or a spin or something that he's going to be able to just sail right by.
Agreed, and I think just, if I'm Robbie Prescott, we mentioned the pit stop window earlier.
Over under.
If he's being able to save any sort of fuel back here, that just means a shorter pit stop fuel time for Robbie Prescott, and might even just be able to make that move in the pits, which is the easiest pass to do when you don't have to put yourself in a troublesome area on the racetrack, make no contact out there, and then you can just kind of set off into the sunset, making qualifying laps by yourself up there. But I tell you what, it seems like Scott Kessel is starting to turn the heat up just a little bit. We've officially crossed 15 minutes done in this race, kind of into the meat and potatoes section of a race that I like to call here, Michael. This is kind of when you settle into things, and mistakes, they can bite you really hard right now.
See, this is the point where I start to fall into a groove. All my mistakes tend to come either right at the beginning, or if I lose my cool and I let somebody bug me.
Here we go.
And yeah, here we go. This is getting tight right here. Look, Kessel moves out. Robbie moves out as well. Good defensive position. Is Kessel going to be able to get around here? He's got the better position for the next bit of the corner. Nope. Once again, Chris Cook able to hold on to that P1.
That was excellent defensive placement by Chris Cook. And if you notice, he's not going crazy deep on the brakes. He's not making 2 moves down the straightaway. He just put his car right in the middle of the racetrack, right where Scott Kessel wanted to go. And Scott said, you know what? I don't have a good enough opportunity this time. I'm going to wait for a better one. And look at this, Robbie Prescott now applying the pressure to the second place car of Kessel. And I think Robbie was just kind of edging him along there. I don't think he was trying to make a move. I think he was just kind of giving him a little bit more ammo, saying, hey, bud, you got this. Go up there and make a mess of it.
Well, there's something that I like to call the 3 Ps. I was talking in a PCA event a couple of months back with the 3 Ps, the last of which is pester. And when you pester someone appropriately, so no contact, anything like that, but you get up right under that wing and you push up on them, especially in a place where just 2 laps ago we saw a mistake made. Man, you get up under there, you start to get tight up under that wing, you can make that mistake happen again, and even just a little bit more than it did last time makes it an easy pass for you. Like you said, passing the pits is the easy one. Second easiest is when they spin off going wide somewhere.
Yeah, it is. And those are the best passes to make, because you kind of smile as you go right on by as they make the mistake. And another lapped car. They're
I cackle like the Wicked Witch of the East.
Something like that, huh?
Yeah, along those lines. That's about right. Now we're on board with Mike Sachs. Mike Sachs is in front of the leaders here. Now, right, once again, we got Chris Cook in a great position, waiting for Mike Sachs to run through here and give him that toe. Scott Kessel, unfortunately, falling back a little bit. Now, Mike is probably going to stick to the right side here as Chris, yep, there he goes, pops out, wants to get around. He probably should have stayed under that wing a little bit longer. Mike Sachs lifting off. How many of these cars he's going to let by? Looks like only one. So, wow. There was some trouble back there. I think that that pestering maneuver that we are seeing from P3, our Robbie Prescott, our last season champion, is actually starting to bother Kessel just a little bit, because he has absolutely lost contact. He's about 2 seconds out from Chris Cook right now.
Well, Michael, what you missed there is up through Eau Rouge, Scott Kessel had a huge moment, has actually taken a slowdown penalty as easy as he can out on the racetrack. And what that has done is that has brought up Robbie Prescott and Brandon Harrison right up underneath his spoiler. And like you mentioned, he has lost touch just a little bit with our leader, Chris Cook. Now, I will say, in Scott Kessel's defense, that was a perfectly strategically maneuvered way to get rid of the time penalty and not give up any positions on track. But you see just a little mistake. I mentioned this is the meat and potatoes section. If you make a mistake, it can bite you hard, and he has potentially lost the draft from our leader, and that is huge at a track like Spa. And I tell you what, Scott Kessel goes from the hunter to the hunted now, because Robbie Prescott, I think, is going to want to get around, especially now that Brandon Harrison in that purple and green machine is right up on the tail. And here we go, late break move from Robbie Prescott into the bus stop, perfectly executed from our previous race winner. No, we got contact between Harrison and Kessel coming out of the bus stop.
A good turnaround, though, from Harrison and Kessel both. But Robbie Prescott able to take off, sticking up there in P2. Now he's on the hunt for the lead. Chris Cook better watch out.
That was just such innocent contact, too, between Harrison and Kessel, but it was just at the wrong point right there. The cars they're at the slowest as they go. You know, they're not making any aerodynamic grip, and they're also transferring from the nose weight to the tail weight, and just a little bit of front-to-back contact sent both of the cars around right here.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Kessel was having a little bit of difficulty getting that front bite as he was coming through there. And then I guess Harrison was not having trouble and just caught him. It was innocent. I don't know how the stewards are going to call that one, but we shall see.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, we can armchair quarterback this all we want up here, and I think what Scott Kessel was trying to do is an over-under to try to get a little bit of a run on Robbie Prescott, and unfortunately, Harrison misjudged that a little bit as we see Joe Sinclair still moving up through the field right now, goes around Brandon Harrison, and I wonder if that number 31 machine has got maybe a little bit of damage, because Scott Kessel, once he got going, has been back up to speed, while Brandon Harrison struggling a little bit to get going, although once Joe Sinclair got by him, it seems like this number 31 is going again on the racetrack. And Michael, something that I always like to keep an eye on, I'm a sucker for data and big movers. I know that we're not even halfway through the race here, but I'm going down my timing and scoring sheet right now, plus 22 in 21st position. Carlos Lopez started back in 43rd spot, now finds himself in, just with a narrow miss.
Yeah, and that puts him up now 23 places up. Now, I know Carlos. I have raced with Carlos a lot, and he is a good driver. He's an excellent driver, I should say. He knows how to place the car. He knows how to attack. He knows how to defend. Love racing with Carlos. Good guy out of the Dallas area, and just all around technically good. He even builds sim racing systems for people. So yeah, he's a good guy.
We just saw Joe Sinclair here. We're going to catch a replay. You know, I was wondering if this was going to catch some cars pre-race here, the oversteer through Blanchimont. Ooh, you know what? I think he got a little bit of the inside curb, which maybe upset the car, and then you see just a huge tank slapper. And I think this is my favorite part right here. Joe says, you know what, this thing's already destroyed. Let's make it a Pro 2 truck and just go straight through the grass to pit lane.
Penalties be damned. I'm just going to roll through here. But that's not the pit entry, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Any time that he would have picked up time penalties, because the car is so damaged, are easily going to be worn off here. The thing he has to do at that point, though, is watch out to make sure he's not going to impede someone else's race.
Yeah, and I think we had maybe Peter Sigourney, this is an issue with Peter Sigourney. This was one of our third or fourth place runners, and I think this is actually a second incident. You see already the damage that is on the right rear car, or the right rear of the car, and unfortunately Peter Sigourney with this great run, I believe he was up into the fourth place position. This is off of the Kemmel Straight, and just a little bit of oversteer, Michael, maybe a little bit of curb or too much entry speed maybe.
Yeah, going into Lake Holm, you've got to be careful. You do want to get up on the curb there as you go into it for both of those. And then as you head towards the Malmedy, which we just saw him going through there, Malmedy, you have to be on the curb if you're going to make a fast lap. And now at the point, this is the downhill going into Bruxelles. And that's a tough spot. The car shouldn't really be bouncing too much. And I've driven this particular setup, so it's a good setup. But look at that. Look at the baby blue up in front, out the front of Robbie Prescott's window. And has traffic been slowing Chris Cook down? I think it's going to get interesting here with our two leaders trying to get through this backmarker traffic without making any contact and without messing up their race as well.
Yeah, it can be really tough to do out there, both in the lapped cars position and the overtaking lead cars position, because you got to remember they are in a fight, and the last thing you want to do is upset them on the racetrack. And oh no, Barua out here. I believe that Avid was in the top 10, and I wonder if this is going to be a little bit of deja vu like Joe Sinclair like we just saw. Let's see if he as well clips this inside curb. No, just a little bit of that back end weight coming around in one of the highest speed corners in the world on a road racing track. And once that weight starts going in the back end of these Porsches, it can be tough to catch if you're not on top of it out there. And unfortunately, looks like it bit Barua. Yeah, he is going to come into the pits, take that fast repair, get all of that fixed up as we ride on board with Joachim Baker out here, and making me a little bit jealous with this triple screen setup. We got a lot of different setups in sim racing between ultra wides, virtual reality, triples, and what you see right here is a triple setup.
Yeah, I'm more of a proponent of the ultra wide VR. My VR that I use is actually about 170 degrees. Most of them are 90 to 110. So I understand why some people don't like VR, but I got to tell you, you get that super wide view in a VR, it's just like wearing a racing helmet because you're cut off at almost the exact same point.
Get a few other here. Here's Terrence Tong back here in the 13th place position. You're looking out the back end. He's got company in the form of the 917 Scott Bowers, as well as Brett Holmes in the number 6. You see Brett poking a nose down there on Scott, trying to get a move done for what would be the 14th place on the racetrack. And Michael, you know, I love iRacing because you get so much creativity out here. These are two of the most brightest colored cars I can find.
Yeah, one is quite the Austin Powers theme on a Porsche. Maybe he thinks he's driving a Jaguar. But I love the colors on the livery of Brett Holmes. That is a nice car. That's the very first car that when I was going through trying to identify the different people before we came on broadcast, I wanted to see who was who. Brett Holmes, his car absolutely stood out to me. I love these multicolored type of liveries on these cars.
They do look really good as this battle continues to rage on. You see the 388, that's Terrence Tong, who we were riding on board with. Now Scott Bowers trying to do an over-under through the hairpin. Looks like he's going to have some pretty good power down, but not enough to get by Terrence before Eau Rouge going to have to wait and play that draft battle. And Looks like we're coming up on halfway, and I just want to let everybody know that if you can't come out and race here in the PCA sim racing class, you know, if you're signed up or can't do it, you can always find us on the social media in race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Cameron Auburnon is always on top of everything. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA sim racing out there, and always keep up to date, even if you can't be out here virtually watching or participating in these races.
Yeah, while we were talking about Cameron and the fantastic work she does, let's take a look at J.R. Gregory here. This is the path that everybody's been trying to set up. This is perfectly executed. Try to get the car you're about to overtake to feign out to the left side and have that confidence to stay out there. But look at this, side by side, coming up into the braking zone of Lecombe. Gets the car just past him, able to climb that curb and get on around. That is a beautifully executed textbook pass.
Now, Michael, I want to talk about pit stop strategy because we are officially halfway right now. 30 minutes, we just crossed it. And look at this, we're going to be crossing the start-finish line not soon after. So, are we going to see the pit stop window open now that we're 50% of the way through? Because you got to remember, here in sim racing, you are the crew chief, you are the driver, you are the strategist, you are the spotter. So you've got to do all of the math, all of the fuel calculations yourself out here on the racetrack. And if you don't have third-party apps accessible to you, sometimes the easiest strategy is, hey, halfway, we just got done, let's come in, get our pit stop done.
Usually that's the easy math to do, but I think a lot of these folks, they are doing this competitively, week in, week out. They have gone ahead and gotten applications out there. One of the applications that you're talking about, I know there are probably 4 or 5 different ones. And within iRacing now, within I think the past 3 or 4 weeks, they have added a feature that will auto fuel. You can tell it auto fuel me plus 1 lap, plus half a lap, minus half a lap. So if you know you're in a position that you've been saving fuel, or you're doing a lot of lifting coast, you think you can make it, but you weren't lifting coasts earlier, then hey, you might have an opportunity to short fuel just a little bit. As we watch our leader here going down into Double Gauche, trying to get around some back marker traffic. Is that going to allow him to open up? Yes, it does. Looks like Robbie gets stuck behind that back marker traffic. Now, it is not required for him to get out of the way. He's just required to not interfere, and that's Volker Krebs in the Haribo car. I love that car. Haribo Makendofo. That's the way it goes. I love Haribo, but it put a little bit of a damper on Robbie Prescott's ability to get around there. But Volker has a race to go himself. It's not like he's out here just trying to turn laps. He's actually working to try to catch up to some people. He's got a race going on.
He does, and, you know, I'm not going to say anything about that because, you know, he held up Chris Cook just as much as he held up Robbie Prescott, and in my eyes, that's just fair racing out there. Some people, they stay on the racing line, and it is still up to you to make that pass safely, and he did not play it differently between position 1 and position 2, and that's all you can ask for out there. The number 053 of Volker Krebs doing a fantastic job being predictable on the racetrack. And that was Joachim Baker that we were taking a glance at back there in that 8th place position. He's still got some company right in front of him, and got Mike Madsen.
Our leader just hit the pits. Our leader, Chris Cook, just dove into the pits. He saw that Robbie Prescott had closed up that gap to near nothing and made the wise choice to jump down into pit lane. So he's gonna be our first person, first intentional pit stop, I think. So let's try to use him to measure what the other guys are gonna do.
And Michael, I think that this is that easy pit stop strategy. You know, you're halfway done. Go ahead and be the first car to pit and see where you pop out. Now, I did completely forget. iRacing did a fantastic job adding that fuel calculator into the mix as we watch Chris Cook get back out onto the racetrack. So you're right, iRacing has added some tools to help you out to do those fuel calculations. But I think here in the sim, the lighter you run the car, just naturally it gets faster every single lap. Is doing an early stop right now a little bit detrimental because you're carrying more weight for longer?
I am of that mindset. Yeah, I feel like I want to get that car as light as possible for as long as possible. As we take a look on board here with David Glenn, got a stormtrooper back there. Hopefully his aim is better than the stormtroopers are as he tries to work his way around. But not a lot of traffic around him at the moment. But I got to give him props for that red and blue lightsaber fashion going on in the background.
Now, I love this. We saw this camera on some previous broadcasts, and David Glenn, this is just amazing. You know, between the race helmets, the full-size stormtrooper, the sword, you know, the lightsaber, if you will, plus the virtual reality. I mean, that is a full ambiance room if I have ever seen it. A man cave at best.
Yeah, this takes Man Cave to a new level. I got to give him major props for this. If I had the money to do that, I probably would do the exact same thing.
Now, see, my setup is a little bit more forever alone, Michael. I've got the racing sim on one side and the flight sim on the other side of the desk. So, you know, you bring guests down here and they're like, oh, man, so this is what you do, huh?
Yeah, my office, there's the sim stuck in there, and then there are a bunch of boxes of sim stuff I've tried because, you know, you do it long enough, people start sending you stuff and say, hey, try this, tell us what it's like. And I've got like 6 different sets of pedals. I've got a couple of different VR headsets, a few wheels, and of course the boxes for all of it. So it's rather embarrassing. My girlfriend will not let people come into this room.
Well, you were just watching Robbie Prescott doing laps by himself out here. Here's another car taking the trip down to pit lane. It's Robert Walton in the number 2 machine. Still waiting for Robbie Prescott to come in. Now, I know that we've had a few different winners, or I shouldn't say winners, a few different leaders so far this race. We've talked about Robbie before, but to let everybody know, round 1, Robbie Prescott stood on the podium in 2nd place. VIR, Robbie, pole position, win. Suzuka, pole position, win. Robbie Prescott is riding a huge wave of momentum as it looks like we've got some more problems down here in the hairpin. But to my point, I mean, Robbie Prescott right now out front with no pressure. That's a bad thing for everybody else.
Yeah, it looks like this car is already damaged. That's going to be Dean Chapman. He's back in 23rd place as Robbie Prescott tries to come around, and that's just that was taking the line, trying to come around and get back into pit lane. Off speed looks like just misjudged it a little bit.
And that was Scott Bowers that got into the back of Chapman back there. And you called it. Yeah, I saw that damage on the front of Chapman's car. And basically, when he went into the hairpin, didn't have a tire to turn the car there. And unfortunately, I think the car coming up did not see that damage. Got into the back of him there as jump back up. This is our leader. Does he come into pit lane? Here we go. Robbie Prescott making the dive to pit lane. Let's see where the number 1 is going to pop out in relation to Chris Cook, that number 47. I see him coming up into the bus stop right now.
Yeah, Chris Cook was 15.8 seconds stationary, 37.7 from cone to cone. Chris coming out of the chicane right now, trying to go down the pit straight, going to come up to La Source. Where is our leader, Robbie Prescott? Robbie Prescott still still in the lane. Has he stopped yet?
No.
Yes, he just stopped very quickly, only 0.4 of a second. Was there a penalty?
No, he was in there. He was up on the jacks for a little bit there. I see what you're talking about there, only 0.4. I think that's just a little bit of an error on the timing and scoring screen here. And look at this. Chris Cook and Robbie Prescott on the Kemmel Straight, but it's going to go to Chris Cook with the momentum, the top-end speed. And, you know, I thought that early pit stop strategy was not going to play out, but here goes the number 47, back to what will be the provisional lead once all of the pit stop cycles cycle out completely.
Yeah, and for people who are watching this and wondering about where to place the car, how to place the car, if you notice on that shot back there, when we watch them going through, they call them up to Malmedy, they're not going all the way back over to the left side of the track. They're kind of hugging the middle of the track. With this particular car, with the GT3 class, I should say, that is the preferred line to go through there. Now, when you get, looks like Robbie Prescott having the problems that Scott Kessel was having earlier, going into the double gauche corner, getting just a little bit wide heading around there. That is a little uncharacteristic, not exactly what I was expecting to see. Here they go down into Campos and heading over towards Stavolo. Let's see. So we noticed earlier that Chris was able to really open up the gap beautifully coming out of Stavolo to go into Paul Frere curve. But it doesn't look like he was able to do it here. Wow, this is going to get exciting because this is a good passing opportunity. I think Robbie Prescott may be sitting back waiting for an opportunity as we watch them go through, that fast corner. Not quite as stable, not quite as planted it looked like from Chris.
We got to remember here, too, that these are all fixed setups, and Scott Kessel, as well as company, coming down pit lane. Now, that will pretty much complete our pit stop cycles on the racetrack. I think I see David Snelling maybe still out there, turning an extra lap in front of everybody, so he might get one lap led in front of everybody. But this is the battle for what will be the provisional lead once everything comes to a cycle complete out there and all these cars get either new tires, but for sure filled up on fuel. And I gotta say, Scott Kessel here in the number 48, this has been a really good recovery drive because, Michael, you remember this was the car that had the problems in the bus stop earlier getting spun around.
Yeah, when they came up in there and just had that little contact, I was trying to look back and see if there was a penalty issued for that at all, and I don't see one, but there have been quite a few penalties issued, so I'll have to go take a closer look. But I think that may have just been looked at as, we're no contact, but, that was just kind of one of those things, racing incident sort of idea.
Agree with you there, as this is the number 32, David Snelling. Now, David is not pitting yet. Now, he is the last car to save fuel out there. Everybody has already come down into pit road to take their stop, and I gotta say, great job from the number 32, able to save enough fuel to go one extra lap over everybody else. Wonder where it's gonna cycle him out once he is able to complete that stop out there. And I expect him, once he goes through the bus stop and the hairpin this lap, to come in and relinquish that lead. And look at this, right on the back bumper, nothing has really changed. This is still Robbie Prescott trying to make the best opportunity he can. And Michael, you were commenting last time out, up through Blanchimont, he had a good run, and even now he's cut that distance in half. This looks to be an even better opportunity.
Yeah, but the difference this time is Chris has got somebody to draft down here. He is absolutely close enough to David Snelling. I think it was David Snelling. No, that's going to be a different car. That's the Pink Pig that he's getting a little bit of a draft from and able to keep Robbie Prescott from closing in too much. Now, let's head down to La Source here. If the Pink Pig can still stay just far enough out, that is going to help Chris Cook. Chris has gotten a lot of help from traffic here. Traffic has played right into his hands. Now, some of that is being a smart racer. You have to play the traffic and not let it play you. You and I both know, you get out there, you see somebody, you might bleed off a half a second on this lap just so you can make that stop in just the right point. As we take a look at David Snelling here in the 5150 car, working his way out of pit lane in P5, gonna roll down P5. Yeah, looks like he's gonna hold on to that.
Really good pit stop strategy from David Snelling in that number 32 machine, and look, up 11 positions, so he's having a great race, cracked the top 5 with that late pit stop strategy. And jumping back up here, we've got about 16 and a half minutes remaining here at the PCA Sim Racing Series 10 Club Class. at Spa, and nothing has changed up front. Chris Cook started on pole position, has had a rear view mirror full of competitors the entire time, whether it be Scott Kessel, whether it be Robbie Prescott. No matter who's been there, he has had pressure the entire race. Is this going to be the day that that number 47 finally stands on top of the podium, or is Robbie Prescott going to sneak a late race move, steal away the checkered flag like he has in the past, and become an even more multi-race winner here in this series? 15 minutes remaining, and we will find out. And Michael, I know that we talked about it beforehand, kind of who's looking fast. You think Chris Cook is going to be able to hang on to this one for his first win?
Well, let's put the commentator's curse full into view here and say, I don't know. But, you know, I got to say, Chris Cook through this entire race has been that Saturday morning cooler than the other side of the pillow. Man, this guy, nothing is shaking him. He is absolutely got it together. He's pulling beautiful defense. He's able to put the car in just the right place to keep the competition behind him. Now, this time through, though, I got to say, this is really, really close. There was a mistake from Robbie Prescott just moments ago. He got two wheels off into the dirt, but he was able to close this back up. Now as they go through Eau Rouge around Radillon, trying to come up through here, beautiful, just using every last millimeter of the track. Does Chris have, we have a little bit of issue with, looks like internet connection. From Robbie. Robbie taking a look down the inside. That's just a fakie right there. He's not actually going to go down the inside, and he may have wanted to get out into the clean air to get a little downforce as he goes to apply the brakes on that first hit.
Ooh, but I'm not sure if you saw that, but Robbie was able to carry tremendous apex speed through that series of corners and got right up on the back of Chris Cook there, even maybe poked a nose, showed a card for a little bit later in the race, but looks like he washed the front end downhill there, loses a little bit of touch and ground with our leader Chris Cook. And Michael, I want to echo what you just said, even though we just see a mistake out of Chris Cook, as I'm about to say. He's done a great job. Robbie Prescott with a run. Is he going to make the move late on the brakes? He takes away the lead from Chris Cook. What a move from Robbie Prescott. He saw the mistake. I wonder if Chris Cook got a little bit of a slowdown or is just a little bit too far off the track. Either way, the number one took advantage, saw the door, opened it up, put his foot right through.
Yeah, I got to make apologies to Chris because, like I said, he was cooler than the other side of the pillow. And then less than a lap later, there was his probably maybe second or third mistake, but the first one that really mattered. So sorry, Chris, but I think you're close enough that you may be able to hold on to this. You're still only about 6/10 off of him, and you got some real talent under braking as we watch him go into the final chicane here. Get the power down now. He is close enough when they come out of La Source. Like I said before, it is power down from La Source all the way down to the end of the Kemmel Straight going into Le Combe. Is he going to be able to capitalize on this? Does he get a better run out of there? As we go back, this looks like we're coming back to Brendan again. A little bit of tight racing. Is that Carlos Lopez?
Jumping back through the field, yes, this is Carlos Lopez. Right in front of him is Brandon Harrison. Then right behind is Robert Lacroix, as well as Gary Rice. Now watch the 64. This is the green car. Watch the green car. He's got a tremendous drafting opportunity right here behind Carlos Lopez. Is he going to have an opportunity after Blanchimont? That's where we've seen these runs really stall out, is that once you go through that high-speed sweeper, it tends to take air off of the car behind you. Makes it difficult to follow so closely in order to make that move into the bus stop. But I tell you what, 11 and a half minutes remaining here, and it doesn't matter where you look, whether it's for the lead or whether it's for 17th place position. Just great racing here at the PCA Sim Racing Series 10.
Yeah, not to put anything beyond Brett Holmes, who's up 24 positions, but Carlos Lopez is up 26. Looks like he might be close to losing a position because right behind him, that's going to be Robert Lacroix. He has been putting some serious pressure on Carlos. But having been in Lacroix's position right behind Carlos, I can tell you he's not the easiest guy to get around because, like I said before, he's a good racer, but looks like Lacroix is able to get him under braking, gets up underneath, gets around him, and makes a beautiful, clean pass.
Yeah, and I actually heard Robert on the radio. I think that was a little bit of organization between the two, make sure it gets done cleanly. And Michael, you as well as I know that sometimes that's the better way to do it. That way neither party loses any sort of time out there on the racetrack, and you can just kind of continue on your way. And looking up here at the 13th place position, this is Scott Bowers still on the back of Terrence Tong. And Michael, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but with about 10 minutes to go here, we've gone through the majority of the race. We've seen comers, we've seen goers, and there's been some big movers as well going through the field here. Specifically, I'm looking at P10 right now. Brett Holmes cracking the top 10, up 24 positions, started back there in 34th position, Michael.
Yeah, and right in front, about a second and a half in front of him, J.R. Gregory up 18. But, man, you get up into those 20 positions gained. Now, I can say I've done this before, but that was because we did the whole, the car's not quite right. Put the pro in the car and let the AM driver start the race, but put the pro in to qualify and see what we can come up with, and then you take the penalty and you're last. So yeah, I went from 24th to 5th in a race because we did that. But yeah, in this case, it's a little bit different. This is not getting a good qualifying down, getting the little X here and there and not quite putting it together. But it happens. You just don't get a good qualifying and you find yourself at the back and working your way through the field. Some of the most fun racing I've had, though.
We were also showing Carlos Lopez and Robert Lacroix up 19, up 25, and then Kevin Hamann up 22 back there in position number 22. And, ooh, Michael, let's take a look at this replay because I'm noticing something different up front. Robbie Prescott with a mistake through Eau Rouge had to take a slowdown. Now, it looks like, does he have the big wiggle through the compression, or is it over the top that he loses the car here? And oh my goodness, holy smokes, that was almost a big one.
That could have been huge, but I saw it when he was coming down out of the source. He went all the way over to the wall. That's not what you want to do there. You need to come off the wall. It actually has a buffeting effect that they've reproduced very well here in iRacing. You do not want to be that close to the wall. Also, it makes you have to yaw the car back around hard to make it through there, to get up through Radillon. So you have to make that right turn back around and get through. That is almost impossible when you have to make that mega yaw to get the car through there. The rear end's going to come around. You're going to lose something. He had to straighten it out and go for the bail on that, and it cost him big. That puts Chris Cook back into P1.
Is this the opportunity that Chris Cook needs to get back in front and claim that checkered flag? Does he need to know that Robbie Prescott is on edge behind him? He has the pace in order to bring home the win here. He had pole position. He's led the most amount of laps. Can that blue number 47 finally spray the champagne that is ever so sweet that you get on the top step of that podium? And man, 7 minutes remaining. I know that Robbie Prescott wants to continue the momentum, and I see you talking back here, Michael. Carlos Lopez still locked in this one.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of organization. Carlos and Robert are working together. They want to catch up to Brendan Harrison, but that is quite the gap they're going to have to make up. They have a little over 4 seconds to get up to where Brendan Harrison is. But Mario Gonzalez just had an issue. Not an issue, but going through pit lane. But let's watch this pair right here. Here they come down into the beginnings of the hill. Are they going to make up a position as they go through here? Power is down. You do not lift to go through Eau Rouge. You do not lift as you come through Radillon. As you're coming down the straight here, I don't know if Carlos is close enough, though. I think they were trying to work together, but right now, 4/10, you got to be closer. You got to be about 2.5 tenths to be able to make the pass coming down here.
Well, and I totally agree. They are working together. I see them on the radio talking with each other, and they've probably been working together the whole race because Robert up 20 positions, Carlos up 26. So they've worked through the entire field together. And oh, look at the problems right in front of our leader. That was a close call, as well as navigating through another lapped car. That's Peter Kummer back here in the 26 car. Loses it through Blanchimont, but thankfully not a Code Brown moment for our leaders. He was staying off of the racetrack. I think that they saw the trajectory that car was spinning and didn't have to worry about it. But whenever you see smoke up there as the leader, it's never a good sign. But here we go. 5.5 minutes remaining. Starting lap number 24 here at Spa. Who will stand on top at the end of this one?
Yeah, they were 5 tenths coming out of La Source. They are 5 tenths coming out of Radillon. It looks like Robbie Prescott may be trying to hold back just a little bit, save a little bit of tire for the later part of the race. The next couple of minutes, because I think they're going to have about 2, maybe 3 to go at this point. It's going to get crazy. Now we're back in P14 with David Fernandez. Oh, just a little bit wiggly there. Fernandez getting a little bit more wiggle out of the car than he wanted, looking on towards Joe Sinclair and Terrence Tong right in front of him.
Now, remember, Joe Sinclair, yeah, you got a good shot of that. Joe Sinclair had a pretty beat-up Porsche earlier. I expected him to take his crash damage fast repair and maybe got a little bit more damage out there, but he's done a great job recovering. He's right back behind Terrence Tong and going to jump back up to this lead battle. And I have a feeling, Michael, that we're going to be covering this lead battle probably for the rest of the race, maybe show some snippets here and there of some overtakes, but this has been just locked in the entire race. Chris Cook, you might as well put a mirror over, or a piece of tape over the mirror. Just ignore whatever you got in that thing.
Yeah, and this is one of those spots in iRacing where you know you've got maybe, let's say, 12 incident points, and you can get up to 17. I'm using 4 of the 5 that I got good on every lap, or from now to the end of the race. Maybe 1 or 2 a lap to get there. And we just saw Robbie Prescott taking one for sure, because he went really wide out of that corner. But coming up into the chicane, is he going to be able to close up? Robbie Prescott now about 8 tenths off of him. That took a big chunk of time out of him. He was up around 5 tenths. That was about 3 tenths that he lost there. But now underbraking going into La Source, still at about 8.5 tenths. Chris is feeling pretty comfortable at this point, but look how wide Robbie gets out there. He is really trying to use every last millimeter of this track.
Well, it's interesting you bring up those incident points. Now, we didn't talk about them too much, but at Spa, you can rack them up really, really fast just by running 1x here every lap. There's just so many opportunity to gather them up. And I'm looking here, I'm getting word from our producer, Ryan Bauer. Prescott back there in second place has 13x of 17. Now, once you hit 17, you get a drive-through penalty. So Robbie Prescott kind of has to watch himself. Now, our leader, Chris Cook, he's only used 6 incident points. So, Michael, you mentioned it. He has a little bit more on the table to kind of take advantage of. If he sees Robbie Prescott maybe get too close, he can run wide on one of these corners, really help out his corner exit. And with only about a lap and a half left here at Spa, that could be crucial.
That could be, but you got to be careful at a place like right here. This is Double Gauche. The second part of Double Gauche, if you take it wide, you could end up just making the car go airborne. Wow, that was close from Robbie Prescott. He was right at the edge of what's allowed, I think, right there, and he was almost going to go airborne. That's one of the things that you test when you're out there playing. This is what you can do in iRacing that you can't do in real life. How far can I get out there before the car goes airborne and starts doing endos? I can tell you, doing an endo in a race car is not fun. I don't ever want to do it again. So, yeah, one time's enough for me.
Well, I see Robbie Prescott continuing to use up these incident points. He is driving at 10 tenths right now to stay behind Chris Cook to maybe steal away a victory here on the last lap. And we are getting down to it, folks. Through the bus stop, we got to go through the hairpin one more time here, and then once we come down this straightaway, we are going to see Barney the flagman. He is going to be holding that white flag. We are going to get one lap to go here at Spa for the PCA Sim Racing Series 10 Club Class. Is Robbie Prescott going to be able to use the advantage of the draft and the toe to make a move? Michael, going down the Kemmel Straight, I think Chris Cook has got a little bit of space.
He's got right about 7/10 of a second. He is going to be able to hold on to that unless he makes a major mistake. But I got to give a major shout out. We're talking about these two leaders sitting at 10 and 14 incident points. Back in P10, Ambrosino has 0. That's right, big old goose egg. He has absolutely no incident points through this entire race. That is a Herculean feat. It's almost Sisyphean at this point to go that many laps around this track and have 0 incident points. But back to the front, taking a look, Robbie Prescott has closed this up to only 4/10 of a second. This is super tight now. Is Chris going to be able to hold on? Because look at how close Robbie is. Robbie has got to be super careful, though, because he is in a big, giant hole in the air, and he's not got all the downforce on his wing as he goes through Double Gauche.
This is where Robbie Prescott made the move last time on Chris Cook. Is he going to give a fake? Here he goes, late on the brakes one more time. Side by side, doesn't have the steam to make the pass on Chris Cook. Was that his only shot from Robbie Prescott? I saw that one coming from a mile away. That's where he made the move last time. Was not able to complete the pass this time. Let's see who gets the better run to climb up the hill. Gonna have one more potential passing opportunity, but gotta go through the fast sweeping Blanchimont first. This is taking air off of the nose of the cars following all day long. Is it gonna do the same thing? Robbie Prescott keeps his foot in it, has a huge wiggle. Is he gonna go late on the brakes? He shows his nose way down the inside. Chris Cook leaves him room. He left him too much room. Robbie Prescott's gonna take the lead.
Robbie takes the lead. Both of them get a big wiggle coming out of that. Oh, I was wondering if Robbie Prescott was trying to give him a little bit of a squeeze, because that's 2 points for side-to-side contact like that in iRacing. But coming around the final corner,
Robbie Prescott continues out. Victory squiggles coming down the front straightaway. He steals it from Chris Cook to take the checkered flag.
wow, what a race. Oh my God, those two really put on a beautiful race. But right now, Mazzariello in P3 having kind of a race on his own, up 7 positions to take the last spot on the podium.
Yeah, no, I think Scott Kessel ran out of gas. Great strategy call from Jeremy Mazzariello out there to claim the final step on the podium. You see Scott Kessel limping down pit lane here. As we jump back, this is for 18th position. Mario Gonzalez trying to get around Robert Lacroix. Looks like Robert actually fell off from that battle with Carlos Lopez. Joe Sinclair, who you see just in front of him. Looks like these two are going to stay stagnant. But does Mario get a good run coming off of the bus stop? Yeah, Michael, check this out. Mario Gonzalez might be able to make a late race hairpin move here.
Yeah, Gonzalez coming up. Oh, tries to show the nose coming down in there, but Lacroix having none of it, tries to get the power down. I'm wondering if this might be a short fuel issue and having to do a bunch of fuel saving coming up in here and then realizing, no, I want to stay in the top 20, which he does. Both Mario Gonzalez and Robert Lacroix. Lacroix in 18th and Gonzalez in 19th.
Gonna get the rest of these finishers crossing the finish line, and we are going to take a quick break and be right back with the official results.
to brake a little earlier if that's going to be the case. He's actually got a nose ahead as they come down into the braking zone. He's going to do it the hard way.
If you're a Porsche owner looking for reliable, convenient service without leaving the comfort of your home or office, look no further and take advantage of the Exchange at Home complimentary pickup and drop-off service exclusively at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. At the Porsche Exchange, it's all about creating a legendary ownership experience that embodies our guest lifestyle. Our Porsche service team utilizes cutting-edge technology that delivers a transparent service visit and keeps us in constant contact with our guests. And I can't think of anyone more qualified to work on your Porsche, new or classic, than our Porsche certified technicians. Whether you're a longtime guest or new to our dealership, I welcome you to experience legendary at the Porsche Exchange.
Well, you just witnessed one heck of a final lap for the PCA Sim Racing Series 10 Club Class right here at Spa, with Robbie Prescott literally stealing away the victory from Chris Cook out there. Jeremy Masriello here in the third place, rounding out the podium. But look at that, 16 seconds back from our lead battle. Those two were on fire, NBA Jam style. David Snelling there in fourth place. Joachim Baker with a great run to crack the top five here. Robert Walton, sixth place. J.R. Gregory, seventh. Brett Holmes, eighth. Aaron Ambrosino here in ninth. And shout out to Aaron. Michael, you were saying 0x here at Spa. What an accomplishment for that 08 car. Scott Bowers rounding out the top 10.
Looking at P11, Terrence Tong, who we saw on board with a little bit there earlier, David Fernandez, Brandon Harrison, and Scott Kessel, both vying for podium early on in 13th and 14th by the end of the race. Joe Sinclair in 15th. Carlos Lopez, by the end of the race, 28 positions up. Beautiful job by Carlos Lopez. Gary Rice, Robert Lacroix, who was working with Carlos for a little while there, and then Mario Gonzalez and Richard Franco rounds out our top 20, and here is the rest of the field.
Yeah, just a handful more that were on the lead lap. Actually had 26 cars finish on the lead lap, then all the way back to 35th, one lap down, and then the rest were DNFs out there. And we're going to bring in our race winner, also our championship leader, Robbie Prescott. Talk us through those late braking moves that you pulled off with ease today.
Dude, my heart is racing. Oh my gosh. But I knew Chris every time he went into, I think it was Pujon or whatever it's called, that one turn, he would always run wide. And I knew that with the angle I was taking and the speed that I was bringing into that corner, I was able to kind of make some moves and pass him. And then I totally took the lead, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Time to pull away. I tried to save as much tires as I could and save fuel a little bit just because I qualified P3. And then I had that big scare in Eau Rouge where I thought I was out of the race and done completely. But, you know, the Spa gods were on my side tonight, and I avoided the wall. My tires were cooked after that, and then my last chance was going in the final chicane. I almost spun out there. Back end came really wide out on me, but threw it down the inside. Just why not? I'm a competitive person, and I'm going to send it no matter what. And it worked out.
Well, we saw that moment through Eau Rouge, Robbie, and that was quite a highlight for you. I think if they hadn't moved back that tire bundle maybe a couple of years ago, we'd be having a different conversation right now.
Oh, 100%. But, you know, thankfully they pushed it back a bit.
Well, and you are on one heck of a hot streak. I'm looking at the notes here. You won VIR, you won Suzuka, you won Spa. This is a repetitive thing. Is this just how it's going to be the rest of the time?
I mean, Chris put in an amazing fight, and I was ready to go to battle with everyone. So I think if I could just keep putting on podiums, I'm going to do pretty well. And I want to apologize to Kessel, because me and Scott are buddies, and Chris got away from us for a little bit, and I know I had the pace 100% to catch us back up to Chris. So I went over the radio and said, hey, Scott, let me let me pass here. I'll get us back right up there, and then we can keep fighting. And he was so nice enough to let me do that. And then some dude behind him just came and took him out and kind of ruined his race right there. So I want to apologize for him. I didn't mean to have that situation come up, but I say it was a pretty successful day.
Now, Robbie, last question I got here for you. With this series, you guys run different types of cars. However, that doesn't seem to affect you with your prior history here. Going to Interlagos in the GT4, do we expect the same thing?
Hopefully. Last time we were in the GT4, I won by 10 seconds. So we'll see if I can keep that streak up. But my goal is just to keep putting it at the front and letting the race and do the talking. And we'll see what happens when we get there. So I'm excited. Good season so far. So keep it rolling and let's keep it going.
Robbie, anybody you want to say hi to or thank?
Oh, 100%. All my teammates here at school, they do an amazing job of cheering me on, and they always got my back. So shout out to them. Obviously, my parents. I sent the link to my professor, so hopefully she's watching. I know she gets excited. I saw her today before I went into class. And then all the boys back home, they've been giving me so much crap for not mentioning their names. So Liam, Nick, Nate, Kevin, Stu, Matt, anybody else I forgot, all you guys, there's your name shout out right there. So that's all I got for you.
Well, continuing the domination, the number one car, Robbie Prescott, steals away the race victory here at Spawn. Actually looks like Michael Johnson has caught up with our second place runner.
Indeed, I have. Chris, I got to start off with a major apology. The commentator's curse looks like it may have bit you today, because I said you were looking cooler than the other side of the pillow, and then it was just a little brain fart. Something happened and looked like Robbie was able to get around you. So first, apologies for that. Second, congratulations on a beautifully fought P2. Tell us about the race.
Oh, man, thank you so much. Yeah, a little commentator's curse. So the reality is I chickened out. I wanted to finish. Scott didn't, and Robbie didn't, and he just went for it, and yeah, he earned it. He earned every bit of it. So thanks to him, and I did fight a lot, and it was clean, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, your defensive posture through, especially the first part of the race where you had Kessel right up under your wing, coming down the Kemmel Straight, and even coming down to the bus stop. Man, you were positioning the car so beautifully, nobody could get around you. Did you have a live spotter, or were you just all eyes and all mirrors at all times?
Of course, always all eyes, all mirrors, all times. Easy to get distracted, but yeah, it's pretty easy to play defense on this course. Elbows out, right? And it worked very well in my favor.
So the GT3 looks like it likes you, and you like it, and it's a good course for you. Nice, open, long straightaways seem to play to your strengths, even in those little tighter sections. You had some beautiful launches when we came out of those tighter sections where you came out of Stavolo and just would open up a brilliant gap going up towards Blanchimont. Now, the next course, we're in a GT4 at Interlagos, which is a super tight track and not a lot of long straightaways. How is that going to play for you?
Oh, it's going to be nerve-wracking. GT4 is a little bit different, and it's a completely new track to me. I haven't raced it, so I'm going to have to put in the time.
So are we going to see a podium from you at that race?
Oh, you know it.
Absolutely. Good. So no commentator's curse on that one. You heard it here, folks. He's going to be on podium. Chris, who do you have to thank for today's podium?
Oh, I got to thank everybody. Podium Esports, PCA, Porsche Exchange, Ryan Callie, who's been my gracious spotter, yelling at me the whole time, and then my wonderful wife, who's flying in from Florida tonight, and I'm amazed she's not standing over me glaring at me yet. So...
Well, time to go show the wife some attention and take a little bit of a break. But right now, we're going to go take a look at our third place finisher, who had only a single incident point. It looks like Joey has Jeremy with him right now.
Yeah, Jeremy Masriello, congratulations on the podium finish.
Thank you. I did not see that coming.
Oh, well, now talk us through the last lap because you were hunting down, I believe it was Scott Kessel right in front of you. You had a good run coming down the Kemmel Straight, and then you were able to poke your nose coming down the downhill, and you said you didn't see it coming, but you pulled it off. Congrats, man.
Scott had pace on me all the whole race, and I was not gaining on him at all. And then second to last lap, I saw his pace drop off quite a bit, and he just was completely out of tire. And so once I got up near him and started pressuring him a little bit, he just couldn't hold the track. So I got right by him. I feel bad for taking it from Scott because he had a great race, but his tires were gone.
Well, now, Jeremy, this is your first podium here this season, and I'm looking you up here in the points, and this is going to vault you up a huge number of points here. Is this maybe a little bit of motivation? Are we going to see you on the podium more in the future?
I hope so. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been up near the podium in this series, so yeah, this is great.
Well, you know, I think you deserve to be up here because look at this, +7 positions you gained and also only 1 exit spa. How much practice time did you put in?
I actually only practiced on Monday night. We had the NER Northeast Region League. Thanks to Robert Gallet for this. They host the same race, and so we raced it Monday night, and I spun about 6 times. And so my only goal tonight was to take it easy through all the fast sweepers, lift a little bit, and just keep it clean.
Well, whatever your strategy was, it is continuing to work out there. Keep it up, Jeremy. Anybody you want to say hi to or thank?
I'll just thank my wife.
Well, that was your final podium finish. Your driver of the number 25, Jeremy Masriello, out here. And I think that is going to do it here for us. Join us here again tomorrow night, April 27th at 9:25 p.m. Eastern for the Pro Class back here at Spa. We'd like to thank our sponsors for Series 10, the Porsche Exchange and Six Sigma Sim Racing. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Michael, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this would be possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joey Atterbury, and I'll see you on the track.